Welcome back, everybody, for another segment of Just Visiting. Our sports segment, we're going to be talking about the NBA Finals 2022. And we just had game 5 of the
Mhm.
series, and we got the Boston Celtics versus the Golden State Warriors. Sorry, guys. I always pause at that because for some reason, my brain goes through like
You're like,
every
what team? What
single
team? What team? What team?
every single
Trailblazers.
finals
Oh,
in the last I when I say NBA finals, my brain goes through like every finals I've seen in the last couple years, and I'm like, which one is it this year? It's Golden State Warriors. Anyways, but welcome back. We're going to be talking about Game 5 and give our analysis of it, what we thought. The Celtics lost. Jonathan, what was the score? You remember?
Oh no, I don't. Oh, 94 to 104. 94 to 104.
Okay, I thought it was like by 10 or something like that. Yeah, so the Golden State Warriors won. They are up 3-2. So they've been up by 3, they've been up 3 games before. We've seen what's happened in the past. So hopefully we can count on them again to come through. But we'll see what happens.
Well,
But
I mean, hey, you make this is not that's not a bad point to make because also this Celtics team has been down 3-2 in this playoff run against
Yes,
the
they
Milwaukee
have.
Bucks. They were down 3-2. And they can't storm back in a 1 in Game 7. Obviously, though, Game 7 was at their home, not away, so that could be a factor. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited. I'm pretty hopeful for the next game. I don't think the Celtics are just going to go down super easily. I think this will be the game where you'll see what they're made of. You'll see if they'll be able to handle it down the stretch. What I've loved about this series so far is each game has just been a neck and neck like dog fight, which is what I wanted. I mean, once I saw how they were playing in the last round, I was like, oh, this finals game is going to be amazing. And once I saw game 1, I was like, this is going to be a great series. So I've been enjoying it so far. But Jonathan, give me your thoughts overall on game 5 so far.
Yeah, so usually I come on here and defend my Celtics, but today I can't like that. They just let that one go. That one was important. You should have won that one.
Yep.
Your series is tied 2-2. You haven't lost back-to-back games. And you finally get a serviceable performance from Jason Tatum. Like, finally, Jason Tatum has a game where he shoots over 50%, or I think it was like right at 50%. I think it was 10 for 20. So he's right at 50%. For the majority of the series, he's been under 40% on the field goal percentages. So you finally get a serviceable game from him. But then Derek White goes, 1 for 7 or something like that, and he scores 1 point the entire game, playing 25 minutes. Jaylen Brown, he goes like 5 for 20, something like that, and he scores like 12 or 15 points. You get Grant Williams, Peyton Pritchard, both of those guys barely score any points. I think Grant had 1-3 in the game. So your entire bench basically gives you 4 points total. Obviously, Luke Cornett came in, he hit 3, but that doesn't count because it was like the game was over by then. But your bench gives you 4 total points. Having to combine play like, I want to say they played like 20, 25, 30 minutes together. You can't win a game like that. And then the turnovers, obviously, we keep talking about these turnovers. I can't stand that we have to keep talking about them. But this is what you do with young teams, right? Young teams are going to turn the ball over, and they're going to lose because they turn the ball over. But this game felt so different because they had all the early turnovers, and it just felt like somehow they were going to figure out how to win this game. And in the third quarter, it started happening. Like the lid on the basket came undone just a little bit, and they started banging threes. It was like I think they hit like 8 in a row in the third quarter, and I was just like, "Oh man, we're about to win this game. This game is ours." And then Steph was playing bad. Like as much as everyone's going to sugarcoat it and say, "Oh, he played good defense. Oh, he had these assists. Oh, he rebounded the ball well." He played bad. Okay, he played bad. Stop trying to defend him. He played bad. He had a bad game, and no one on their team was really really scoring like that. Until like in the fourth quarter, Andrew Wiggins just was like, someone has to win this game. I'm gonna win it.
Yeah, he came out of nowhere. Honestly,
yeah, I really came out of nowhere.
I was like, who is this man? I was like, I don't know this man. He's been so quiet the rest of the series.
Yeah, he's been like averaging like 15 or 16 points a game. So he's been okay, but he just hasn't been like a guy you would expect to go drop 25. I think he might have had like 12 in the fourth quarter. Yeah. Let me look at the stats while you give us your take.
Yeah, so I was hopeful for the Boston Celtics to pull one out on top because this is what I thought I didn't think the Celtics would actually come from behind to have to win the series. I thought, they won that first game, so what's probably going to happen is they'll win, they'll go up 3-2, they'll lose the next one, and then they'll win the last game, and
So
then
like back and forth basically the whole way.
yeah, essentially. That's kind of what I thought would happen. And this didn't happen. The Warriors won 2 in a row, which isn't, this was a must win for the Celtics and they didn't win it, but there's always tomorrow. Uh, I was very upset with how the Celtics played because I didn't think, because for me, what's frustrating is when they're a good team based on their history, and then you kind of see them play honestly a little weak and a little fearful. That's kind of how they came across. They kind of came across like, oh man, the Warriors figured out our game plan. What do we do now? And it was kind of like you make plays. You find a different way to get around, and they made some good adjustments. They played better in the second quarter. Third quarter obviously was really well done. They outplayed they outplayed the third quarter Warriors. They outplayed them, which was great. And so I was kind of with you. I thought once the fourth quarter was coming around, I was thinking that, as long as Boston plays well and just plays consistent, and I have some comments about their fourth quarter overall, which we'll get into in a little bit. I thought the way that, to give you guys a kind of a short little bit of it, I'll get into it in a little bit, but I thought the way that they played their fourth quarter, very rushed, they were not good with time management at all. That was something that was really frustrating for me. So, which I'm a Thunder fan, and when we had Scott Brooks, we were all about time management in the fourth quarter. So that's why I'm a little more like, it's frustrating. But overall, we saw good performances from Draymond Green. Was actually back. He was a presence. Made better plays on defense. Now, I'm not going to say that he did he wasn't incredible. He still was not Draymond that we've seen before, right?
Yeah.
In the past few years, but he did have more of a presence. He was a little bit more of a threat, which was great. Andrew Wiggins obviously is the guy that they're going to talk about for the win in this game. And then honestly, I think the one player who I have been personally underrating, he didn't have an amazing, not the best performance, but he had 21 points, and that's Klay Thompson. And I thought Klay Thompson this series has actually been playing really, really well because, just coming off of the surgery he had and everything. I'll be honest, Jonathan, you talked me out of thinking he was going to do good, and he's done fairly well these last few games. Now, better than expected, way better than expected. And I think that he deserves a little bit of credit for the Warriors because he's been consistent across the board, if anything. So, but anyways, overall, good game. Entertaining to watch. The first quarter and the fourth quarter, in my opinion, are the most frustrating to watch for the Boston Celtics. They didn't have a great start and they didn't have a very good end, but the middle, they kind of felt more like the team that we'd been seeing over the past few games. So,
I totally agree. I think Klay Thompson, especially like in the later quarters, it seems like he starts to find his rhythm. The last two games at least, because early on he was taking some shots, and I was just like, okay, maybe 2015 Klay could have hit that, but you can't hit that right now. Like, that's not your shot right now. You got to look for a different way to impact the team.
He's pretty much shooting 50% across the board in the last game anyways. He had 7 of 14 from field goal range, and he had 5 of 11 from three-point range. So he was shooting very well. As good as you could ask for, right?
I mean, and again, that's why a lot of that came in the second half too, when he started to find his rhythm and find his rhythm. I mean, he went 5 of 8 in the second half. So and 4 of 7 from 3 in the second half. So he really turned it on in the second half. And I feel like he did the same thing last game. I feel like last game where it was kind of neck and neck. You saw Klay Thompson start making some difficult shots, and it was just like, how do you defend that guy once he starts getting going? So I totally agree with you. I don't regret my Klay take because it was right the first 3 games. Okay, my Klay take was right the first 3 games. It was just these last 2 was where he started going okay, and now I'm kind of really scared because Game 6 Klay is a thing, and that's next game. That's Game 6, and that's gonna be in Boston. So we'll see how he plays. But all I can say really honestly with this one was it was an amazing performance by the Warriors and a really bad performance by the Celtics minus Tatum, because I thought Tatum played well. I mean, you can say in the fourth he didn't play as well because he was 1 for 5 in the fourth, but
Only thing I
Had
didn't
he
like.
not been scoring, had he not been doing
Yeah.
what he was doing, they would have been way out of this game.
Oh, I
They've been
agree.
way out of this game.
I
No one
agree.
else was.
He
No
kept
one else was
them.
really.
Yeah,
No one else
he
was really
kept
doing.
them in this game. I think the problem that I've noticed with Tatum is that he doesn't always seem to hit the big shots. At least, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like the
yeah.
clutch moments is down to it. It's like we need him to make a shot. He's kind of not there. He's young though, so give him some
Mm-hmm.
time. But he's kind of had his teammates to help in that area. But I would agree with you. He didn't play bad, but I think that's why, some of our friends and other people have said, oh, he's not playing very good. It's just because you don't notice what he is doing well, I think sometimes. The thing that frustrated me the most was his field goal percentage. I was very frustrated. He kept missing. I mean, there was that one time he missed 2 free throws in a row, and I was just like, bro, you got to hit those. You have to hit those. You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
That was probably the most frustrating thing. And
No.
so anyways, there's a lot of players on the Celtics who missed free throws, and it frustrated me a lot because they would have been a lot
It was
closer.
so weird. It was so weird watching it. Like, and it was like everyone would miss the first one. Is what it kept feeling like.
Yeah.
They would miss the first one, then to make the second one. I'm like, what is happening? These are free throws, and
They're free.
I don't know our stats, but we usually are a pretty good free throw shooting team. At least we've been so throughout the playoffs. So it's kind of weird, like, especially like I would expect a player like Robert Williams or maybe even Grant, he's actually a pretty decent free throw shooter, but I would expect him or one of those two guys to maybe miss some free throws because they're not usually on the line that often. But Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, you expect those guys to make their free throws because they always get to the line. They're constantly on the line trying to shoot free throws.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I honestly don't know what happened with free throws.
Yeah. I mean that's one of those little things, right? That's like, that needs to be cleaned up. To be honest, for how this is the other way to look at it too, because a lot of people are saying for Curry having a bad night, it's crazy that the Golden State Warriors had a win. And honestly, for the way the Boston Celtics played, it's surprising that they were that close to winning the majority of the game. You know what I mean? The second half of the game.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Because when your bench gives you 4 points and your second star, he was. I did not think he played well at all in this game. He had a couple buckets, but it was just like he could not find his range. When your second star gives you 5 for 18, Jaylen Brown gives you 5 for 18 in that game. It's like the fact that you're even in this game is incredible to me. But like I don't want to give you too much credit because stuff was happening off game, and he's been scoring like 35 this series, 30, 32, around 32 this series. So it's like I don't want to give you too much credit for that because he wasn't playing well. So you should be in this game. You should definitely be in this game. You should probably be winning this game by at least 10 or 12. But I will say that I think what happened was the first quarter really hurt them because they could not I would even say probably the first half because they could not buy a bucket in the first half. It felt like everything felt so hard to get. Their shooting was way off. Like they went, I want to say they missed all their threes in the first quarter. Or no. I think they were like 3 for 15 in the first half. From 3. And so were the Warriors. The Warriors are pretty bad from 3 too. But just talking about Celtics real quick. They just could not buy a 3 in the first quarter. And I think that really affected them psychologically. Like they were like, oh, we can't win this game. Like there's no way we can win this game. But then Jason got pretty aggressive in the second quarter, which I loved seeing. He was very, very aggressive at the rim especially. But I think that when they stormed back and they kind of did it all on Jason and Marcus Smart, who I thought had a really good game. I thought he was really good on offense specifically. He couldn't buy threes either, but he was still pretty good on on offense. Yeah. I thought when they stormed back, they kind of didn't have the legs to keep going. Is what it felt like.
Yeah, they did. They looked tired. They did look tired.
They looked tired.
Which I don't know. I mean, Jason Tatum played 44 minutes, and Jaylen Brown played 44 minutes as well. So they played the majority of the game. Yeah. Which that's just the finals, right? Like you're expected to play.
You're gonna have to.
Yeah. So Marcus Smart played 40. He almost played the exact same amount, that's a little surprising to me because I know that he's like kind of like your third man, but I would expect him to play as much as like Al Horford and Williams. I guess they both played around 30 minutes. Yeah. So I would think they would have rotated
honestly,
him.
I would probably expect Marcus to be in the high 40s.
You've been following him more than I have, so I was just kind of like, usually you got your 2-star players that play the majority of the game, but then you have usually those 3 other guys, the guys that you're rotating out pretty well. So I was,
Well, but if you think about it, like the Celtics don't have like another true point guard, so he
Oh
has to
yeah,
kind of be in
that's
the
true.
game to distribute the ball and get the offense running and stuff like that. Even though he's maybe not the best at it, but he's
Yeah,
decent enough at least.
Marcus Smart was driving me crazy in that game. So he was
You didn't
driving. No, I'm not saying. I mean, if you look at his stats, like I am right now, like he didn't play bad. He shot about 50% from the field and 3-point range. So he's not his 3 points. He wasn't shooting as wild as I thought he was, but he was shooting a lot of wild field goal shots. I mean, anything inside the arc, I thought he was kind of shooting a little crazy. The reason it was frustrating me is because like I was texting you guys last night. My take on Marcus Smart is you can tell he's that kid who the coach was like, why are you shooting that shot? You don't shoot good there. Quit shooting there. Quit throwing up the wild shot. Like we just got past half court. Stop doing that. And or we just made one pass and you shot it, right? You jacked it up. That's usually what my coach would say. Why are you jacking that shot up? And that's exactly what he does. He gets the ball. He's like, oh, this is my spot. Shoot. And then I was like, and then he made it a couple of times. And I was just like, because that's what the coach does, right? That's what the coach does. He's like, if you wouldn't have made that, you'd be in trouble. But that's fine. But I mean, I'm not saying that's you comment to me that that's kind of how he plays, which is fine. I think you're right. I think that is how he plays, but that's always going to be my relationship with him.
Yeah. No, to be honest, I totally feel you. Like a lot of times I'm like, oh, that's so contested, and then he makes them like, oh, okay. Well, we're good. You made it. I can't I don't want to, because a lot of times you like to me, Marcus is what he is at this point in his career. Like he's 7 years in, he's not going to change his offensive game, and he's not going to change his defensive game. He's a flopper, and he's a risk taker, especially on offense. So I'm kind of, for better or for worse, I'm okay with what he is, because he'll give you considerable points when he's on. When he's on, he'll give you he can give you 20, 23 kind of guy. And a lot of those contested shots to us will feel like don't take those, but to him they can be in rhythm and they're his kind of shots to take. And then they can if you're on the other team and he hits that contested shot in your face, you're like, dang, can we Marcus Smart is going off on us? Can we actually beat this team? So maybe it's like the head games with him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's just usually my coach would always unless you have numbers, my coach was always like, you don't take the first on the first pass, you don't just shoot it. But he does that all the time.
All the time. Yeah. Early in the shot clock, a lot. But honestly, a lot of their players do that. Like especially Jason and Jalen. They'll take early threes early in the shot clock. And you're like, dude, you have 18 more seconds to get a better shot than the one you just took.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
And we're gonna lead into my problem. So let's talk about what we thought. And I'll give you my take. You're probably gonna have a more sophisticated take than I will, but let me know why, we're gonna talk about why the Celtics lost this game, what caused them to lose this game. And I actually thought overall how they played, that it played that great. I already talked about that in the first and the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter was really where I was like, okay, you guys are losing this game. The reason they lost this game in the last 6 minutes, I would say, is because they would not work to get a good shot. They would not work to get a good shot at all. And so every time they would go down and they'd have possession, and I was around the 4-minute mark is where I really noticed this. They were only down by I think at one point they were down by 12. I think at the 6-minute mark they were down by 12 roughly. And I was like, okay, they got lots of time to make this up. That's not very much. You just get some stops on defense. You can come back in this game. And then what do I see is I see Jaylen Brown. He just drives down, shoots it, misses, runs back. And I'm like, what are you doing? That's not good basketball. That's not what you do when you're down by 12 and there's only 6 minutes of the game left. And then I saw Marcus Smart do the same thing. And then I saw Jason Tatum trying to force it in there when nobody's moving on the 3-point line. And he's just kind of trying to force it in there and get a bucket. And I'm like, you're not going to get a bucket that way. And so, I mean, this is what you do. And I think, do you remember how many timeouts they had? Was it 3 or was it 2?
I think it might have been 2.
Okay, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3, but this is what you do. All right, now I'm a Thunder fan. All right, this is what Scott Brooks did really well. He was very good. I can't tell you how many games I thought we were going to lose, and then he would write up a play. He would save all his timeouts until the very end of the fourth quarter, and then he would he'd write up a play. We'd go down, we'd score. And so what you do is once you're about 10 points in. okay, let's stop, call a timeout. Okay, guys, we've got about 4 minutes left. We're down by 10 points. This is what we got to do. Okay, we're going to write up this play and we're going to run it. We're going to go get a quick 2-pointer, a quick 3-pointer. Okay, go back out there, run the play, pass it inbounds, run the play. Okay, if you miss it, that's fine. If you make it, awesome. We're up by a little bit more. Then you let them play maybe 2 more minutes. If you're at the 4-minute mark, play 2 more minutes. You get to the 2-minute mark. All right, guys, timeout. This is what we got to do. We got to regroup. Go back out there. They didn't do that. They just ran it clean through the 4-minute mark. And I was just like, guys, if you want to win the game, like, you have to learn how to manage your time. You can't just drive down there, shoot a shot that you think you feel comfortable with without actually looking at all your other options, because the fact of the matter is you're wasting time and you're giving time to the other team to score. And so you need to really, use all the time that you have in your shot clock to find a good shot. Move the ball. They're great at passing. So that's really what irritated me, is like, I would see how well they could pass and move the ball, but they weren't utilizing any of those tools. And I think that probably comes from the exhaustion that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
They're just like, man, I'm just going to shoot it. Hopefully it goes in. Dang it doesn't go in. But that's a sign of a young team too. Like, you have to work. You just have to do that when you got 4 or 6 minutes left. You're not down by, they were acting as if they were down by 20. And they were only down by 12. It was like, you guys can come back from this really easily, but you're just not willing to slow it down. Don't feel like you have to force it so much. And part of that is their game style, but they have to learn how to adapt if they want to win in those kind of environments.
No, yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, I agree with everything you just said. I think I totally agree with like the fatigue take. Like, fatigue makes cowards of everyone, and you have a game plan. And once you start getting fatigued, I do think that run through the third, expending all the energy just to get back into the game. I think that really, and then if you think about it too, and this is me making excuses, honestly, these are all excuses and they're not valid whatsoever. But they played back-to-back 7-game series before they got this series. So you gotta think all of those games are wearing on you at some point. At some point, that fatigue is gonna catch up to you and say, hey. It's time to collect. It's time for me to collect on the debt you've been paying, on the accrued loan. So, and you could probably even say like some of it is them not winning game 4 at home because they thought they had that game. They thought they were going to win that game, and then psychologically how that affects a young team, in their first finals appearance. There's some ability to that, but I think just holistically. I think that everything you said was correct. They didn't move the ball. Everyone stopped cutting. They started getting more upset at the refereeing and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true.
And they just kind of let this game get away from them. I think they just let this game get away from them. I think I'm if you're actually making my expectations for the next game, I'm gonna give them. Because I do want to save a little bit of time so I can talk about Curry. But I want to ask you about my expectations for next game. I do think that they're going to have a strong performance. I think they win Game 6. I think they win Game 6 at home. And we'll just see. That's all I can say. Honestly, I don't have any. My Celtics 6 is over. So.
I mean, the secret weapon that the Celtics have that's not really a secret. This is all I'll say about the next game for my prediction. I think they'll win because they're in Boston.
Okay.
So I think because they're now, not that Boston can't win Game 7 back in Golden State, but I mean, Boston is just such a tough environment. It really shook. You could tell it really shook the Warriors the first time they were there. Second time they become a little bit more acclimated, but you could. I mean, I felt the presence of that place in both of those games. I was like, it's still a lot for the Warriors. Even the win that they got, it was a lot. So
it took a legendary performance from Curry that we've never seen before. Like him going off. He had 40 in that game or something like that, 40 plus in that game. Yeah. And he had a bunch of assists.
Was that the game that he had like 16 points in the first quarter?
Maybe. It may have been. It may have been. But he took a legendary performance, and they still only barely won that game in Boston. So I wouldn't take too much. My thing though is I think it could go either way. With like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Warriors won that one, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they kind of were like, "Hey, we want to close it out in Oracle, so we can maybe we'll see how this game goes. We're not forcing anything, but whatever." Real quick, I'm talking about Curry. I'm gonna take a little time. So
go ahead.
I know everyone sees my name is Curry, still not top 10 all time. And I say this not as a Curry hater, okay? Guys, Curry is definitely definitely in my top 15 at the very least. At the very least, he's top 15. Okay. People are going crazy about Curry right now because he's in the news, obviously. He's in the finals, whatever. And people are trying to force him into the top 10. He doesn't belong there. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm honestly not trying to be a mean guy. He doesn't belong there. Like you're talking about guys who have not only changed the game of basketball, but have historic numbers and accolades to back it up. Okay. And they were never, or in most cases, not until they got way older, were the second option on their team. Okay. Curry's done that. He's won rings as a second option on his team. Okay. And when he was the first option, he lost a 3-1 lead to the Cavaliers. Okay. The Cavaliers were not a good team. That was not a well put together team. He lost a 3-1 lead to them. 3-1. That's only happened one time in NBA history. One time has a 3-1 lead been given up in the finals. Once. Because once you're on 3-1, it's basically settled. You can complain about Draymond Green getting suspended. You can complain about Andrew Bogut or Andre Iguodala getting hurt. That doesn't matter. If you're a top 10 all-time player, you're going to close one of those games, okay? Just one. You just need one more game. You got 3 more tries? You just need one game? You tell me a top 10 all-time player can't get you one more game to close out? No, he's not top 10 all-time. I'm sorry. The discussion has been over. But if he wins this series, I do think it gives him some credibility. Maybe he moves up to like 11 or 12 or whatever. Because I still got a bunch of people over him. I'm just sorry to say that I still have Hakeem over him. Still got Shaq over him. I still got Kobe over him. I still got a bunch of people over him. So I'm not trying to be a mean guy. That's my only point is I'm not trying to be mean. He's top 15 for sure. But I think put him in the top 10 is an exclusive class of high-level players. Okay, most of these guys have records that will never be broken in NBA history. They will never be broken. You're talking about Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You're talking about Hakeem with blocks. You're talking about Michael Jordan with scoring titles. You're talking about guys with MVPs, multiple Finals MVPs. The fact that Curry still hasn't won one is to me is like, how could you put him up there? He still hasn't even won the Finals MVP yet. Like, okay, everyone's complaining about Andre Iguodala winning that one, but still, if he was that great of a player, it would have been undeniable that he should have won the Finals MVP. There wouldn't even been a discussion in the first place. So no, he's not top 10 all time. Okay, he had a bad game. This is also what I want to say. Anyone who slandered Jason Tatum for having a bad game in Game 1. I need to hear the same energy. I need the same energy for Curry right now. Okay, he had 16 points and had 2 completely meaningless buckets in the fourth quarter to give him 4 more points to get him to 16. Okay, he doesn't even have the same amount of assists that Jason Tatum had in that game. They literally went on their biggest run was when he was on the bench. He wasn't even in the game for their biggest run in that fourth quarter. And when he was on the floor, I want to say he was a negative. Let me look at his plus minus real quick. I think it was a negative for most of the game until the fourth quarter when they started going on that run. He was like a plus. Oh, okay. My point is, he was plus 15. But my point is, their biggest run in that fourth quarter to establish the lead when he came into the game was when he was on the bench. Okay, your top 10 all-time player was on the bench when the Golden State actually took the lead in that game. Like, you can't tell me this guy. Okay, whatever.
We should have saved this for a Jonathan Rants episode. What we should have done because
it wasn't long enough. It wasn't long enough. I just wanted to let the facts bear themselves out. That was 3-1 lead to the Cavaliers. He's only won one championship with him being the main guy. Okay, all the guys in top 10s were main guys on multiple championship rosters. Okay, multiple. None of these guys were just the one championship. Even Will, I think, has 2. So most of these guys were main guys on championship rosters, and he's only that guy on one of them. And that was even debatable because he didn't win Finals MVP. Okay, so I'm not trying to be a mean guy. I'm just trying. I'm trying to. This is the same thing with LeBron and people trying to make LeBron the GOAT. It's just like you're forcing me to make him less. You're forcing me to tell you how it is. He does not deserve to be in the conversation with Jordan. I'm just sorry. Jordan's on a whole different level. Like this is like a whole different stratosphere that Jordan is on comparatively to everyone else in the NBA history.
Well, give me your before we go. We've never done this on a video, but I'd like to do it this time. Just then we don't have to keep track of so many games. What's your final score for tomorrow night? Or not? Is it tomorrow night? It's 2 nights from now, right?
Thursday.
Yeah, that's what I thought. 3 days. What's your final score?
Final score for like tomorrow, Thursday game?
Yeah, Thursday. Oh, it's tomorrow?
No, Thursday. It's Thursday.
Okay. Sorry. I'm just Yeah. Okay. Sorry for game 6. What's your score?
Uh, Game 6. I don't like doing scores because I don't know how the game's gonna turn out. But I'm thinking it's gonna be a defensive slugfest. I don't think Golden State gets 100 points. So I'm gonna go.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go 94 to 102. No, let me go 96 to 102.
I'm gonna go 108 to 101.
108 to 101. Who's that? Celtics?
Celtics.
Okay.
Go
Okay.
I think that it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a high scoring game. I think it may end up being a shootout match a little bit. As much as they both have great defense, we haven't had a single game where it's come down to the wire in the last like minute or two. So, anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this segment of Just Visiting. Feel free to check out our other videos that we have on the channel. We usually talk about superhero stuff. We talk about comic book news. We talk about movies, TV shows, just anything that interests us. This is kind of a potpourri channel where we cover all different kinds of topics, segments, everything from politics occasionally, all the way to like culture to media, all different kinds of stuff. We just enjoy having conversations with people. So feel free to put your comments down below, and don't forget to subscribe and like our videos. It definitely helps us out. But we will see you guys next time and on Just Visiting. So bye-bye.